Thinking of ditching the 9 to 5 and jetting off to some exotic locale? Living abroad. It's the dream, right? Instagram makes it look like one big, endless vacation. Beaches, cocktails, sunsets. But let me tell you, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. There's a whole other side to the story. One of the biggest draws of living abroad is the cost of living, right? I mean, who doesn't want their money to stretch further? And let me tell you, when I was in Mexico, my jaw dropped at how far my dollars went. Seriously, I felt like a baller. Eating out every night, fancy cocktails, exploring all the cool spots. It was amazing. But here's the thing, it's not cheaper. It depends on where you go, your lifestyle, and how well you can adapt to the local way of life. Sure, you can find incredible deals on rent in some places, but then you might get hit with higher costs for imported goods or unexpected expenses. It's a trade-off. For example, in the Yucatan, while the cost of food and rent was significantly lower than what I was used to in the States, things like electronics and imported goods were surprisingly expensive. It's all about finding that balance. Do your research, talk to people who live there, and create a realistic budget. Okay, let's talk about the good stuff. The reason why so many of us dream of living abroad is experiencing a new culture. It's about immersing yourself in a different way of life, learning a new language, trying new foods, and discovering traditions you never knew existed. It's exhilarating, eye-opening, and it can totally change your perspective on life. When I was in San Miguel de Allende, I was blown away by the vibrant culture, the art, the music, the food. It was all so different from what I was used to. I loved wandering through the colorful streets, listening to mariachi bands, and trying all the delicious street food. It was a sensory overload in the best possible way. But cultural immersion isn't always easy. There are language barriers, cultural differences, and sometimes you just feel like a fish out of water. Embrace the awkward moments, laugh at yourself, and just go with the flow. Trust me, you'll have some amazing stories to tell. One of the things I loved most about Mexico was the slower pace of life. People weren't constantly rushing around, stressed out, and glued to their phones. They took the time to enjoy meals, connect with friends and family, and appreciate the simple things in life. It was a refreshing change from the hustle and bustle of city life. In many countries, especially in Latin America and Southeast Asia, the pace of life is just different. It's more relaxed, more intentional. People prioritize relationships, community, and enjoying the present moment. It's a beautiful thing, but it can also be a challenge to adjust to. If you're used to a fast-paced, go lifestyle, it can take some time to get used to the slower rhythm. Once you get used to it, you'll wonder how you ever lived any other way. Let's talk about healthcare. It's a big one, especially for those of us coming from the U.S. The cost of healthcare in America is insane. It's a major concern for so many people, and that's one of the reasons why so many people are looking to live abroad to access more affordable healthcare. And in many countries, you can find high-quality medical care at a fraction of the cost you'd pay back home. It's a huge benefit, and it can give you a real sense of security. But here's the catch. Not all countries have the same level of medical care. While you can find affordable options, the quality might not be up to par with what you're used to. You need to do your research, talk to expats who live there, and understand the healthcare system. Don't just assume that because it's cheaper, it's automatically worse. There are some incredible healthcare systems in other countries, but there are also some not so incredible ones. One of the most amazing things about living abroad is how it can spark your creativity. Being in a new environment, surrounded by different cultures and perspectives, can open your mind in ways you never thought possible. It can inspire you to pursue new passions, start a business, or explore artistic endeavors you never even considered before. While traveling through Mexico, I was constantly inspired by the vibrant art scene, the rich history, and the natural beauty of the surroundings. I felt like my creative juices were flowing nonstop. I started writing more, taking more photos, and just generally feeling more inspired. It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone, embracing the unknown, and allowing yourself to be influenced by your surroundings. It's about opening yourself up to new possibilities and seeing the world through a different lens. And for many people, living abroad can also create unique business opportunities. Whether it's starting a tourism-related business, teaching English, or offering online services, there are countless ways to create a fulfilling and sustainable career while living abroad. It's about identifying your skills, recognizing the needs of the local community, and finding a way to bridge the gap. Living abroad can be a catalyst for personal and professional growth. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, culture shock. It's real, people. It's not just a myth. And it can hit you hard. Even if you're super excited about living abroad, even if you've done your research, even if you love tacos, culture shock can still sneak up on you and knock you off your feet. It can manifest in different ways. It might be the language barrier, the different customs, the food, the way people drive. Anything that's different from what you're used to can trigger it. And it can be anything from mild annoyance to full-blown anxiety. When I was in Guanajuato, I experienced culture shock in small ways. For example, the concept of Mexican time, things not always happening exactly when they're supposed to, took some getting used to. But it can be much more than just minor inconveniences. It can be a feeling of isolation, of not belonging, of being constantly out of your depth. It's important to recognize the signs of culture shock and to take steps to cope with it. Let's talk about something that doesn't get talked about enough. Loneliness and homesickness. You're in a new country, surrounded by new people, experiencing new things. It's exciting, it's exhilarating, it's lonely. Yes, even when you're living in paradise, even when you're having amazing adventures, you can still feel lonely. You're away from your family, your friends, your support system. You're away from everything familiar. And that can be tough. Even though my stay in Mexico City was short, there were moments when I felt a pang of homesickness. I missed my friends, my family, my routine. I missed the comfort of the familiar. It's normal to feel homesick when you're living abroad. It doesn't mean you've made a mistake or that you regret your decision. It just means you're human. You have connections, you have roots, and it's natural to miss those things. It's important to acknowledge those feelings and to find healthy ways to cope with them. Finding a place to live abroad can be an adventure in itself. From scrolling through endless online listings to navigating language barriers with landlords, it can be a real roller coaster. And sometimes what you see online isn't exactly what you get in real life. I thought I had it all figured out for my trip to San Miguel de Allende. I booked a cute Airbnb that looked amazing in the photos. Charming courtyard, rooftop terrace, the whole 9 yards. But when I arrived, well, let's just say the reality didn't quite match the online fantasy. The courtyard was charming, all right, but also overrun with mosquitoes. The rooftop terrace had a stunning view, but also a family of pigeons who seemed to have taken up permanent residence. Pictures can be deceiving, and what looks like a dream online can turn into a bit of a nightmare in reality. That's why it's so important to research, read reviews carefully, and, if possible, visit the property in person before committing. Let's talk about the not-so-fun part of living abroad visas and legal issues. It's not as glamorous as exploring ancient ruins or sipping cocktails on the beach, but it's just as important. Trust me, you don't want to end up on the wrong side of the law in a foreign country. Living abroad isn't just about hopping on a plane and setting up shop wherever you please. There are rules, regulations, and a whole lot of paperwork involved. Whether it's long-term visas, residency requirements, or tax obligations, you need to make sure you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. And it can be a complicated process. Different countries have different requirements, and navigating the bureaucracy can be a real headache. But it's essential to get it right. We talked about affordable healthcare earlier, but let's delve a little deeper into the variability of healthcare quality abroad. While many countries offer excellent medical care at a fraction of the cost you'd pay back home, not all healthcare systems are created equal. You might find yourself in a situation where the quality of care isn't up to par with what you're used to. This can be a real shock, especially if you're dealing with a serious medical issue. It's crucial to do your research and understand the healthcare landscape of your chosen destination. Talk to expats, read online forums, and consult with medical professionals. Get a clear picture of what to expect, both in terms of cost and quality. Even if the overall healthcare system is good, there might be regional variations in quality. Some areas might have better facilities and more qualified doctors than others. Factor this into your decision-making process, especially if you have pre-existing medical conditions. So, there you have it. The unfiltered, unscripted truth about living abroad. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's also an incredible experience that can change your life in profound ways. If you're thinking about taking the leap, do your research, be prepared for the unexpected, and, most importantly, be open to the adventure. It won't always be easy, but it will be worth it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Join us for more adventures and tips